If you weren't aware, Gunblade Photon Arts received a big buff a few months ago. On top of that, when using Luster as a subclass, you gain a damage bonus when using Gunblades. Now, before we go any further, it should first be mentioned that normal Gunblade PAs scale off both melee and ranged power, and the easiest way to know exactly which scales off what is to just remember that slashing hits scale off melee, and gunfire scales off ranged. That all being said, many PAs involve both, so it's a good idea to have both melee and ranged power affixes. Moving on to the attacks, Gunblades have two different types of normal attacks, and which one you use will depend on which mode you're in, and these modes can be changed whenever by using the weapon action. It's pretty much what you might expect though, as in sword mode you will just swing the gunblade around, and in gun mode you will just shoot one bullet at a time. For the first and most important PA, there's Strezwei, and this will act differently depending on which mode you're in. In sword mode, you'll first slash upwards, sending out a wave of photons in a line, during which time you will have guard frames, and if this hits something, you will immediately gap close to it. Then in gun mode, you will instead spin around and deal AoE damage around yourself, while being protected until you stop moving. To make this even more interesting, if you use the weapon action during or right after either of these, you will consume 5 PP and transition into the other version. However, you cannot do this more than one time per use of this PA. Next, Kickdance Dash will move you to your target while granting super armor, and will then have you fire off a few shots when making contact. While Strezwei is great for mobility, it requires you to first hit something to move, and does not move you vertically, whereas Kickdance Dash can move you vertically, and without the need to be airborne or locked onto something to do it. Rage Dance is a rather simple and effective PA, which stabs 5 times and then fires off a single bullet. This is going to be one of your main DPS PAs and has super armor throughout. There's then Writhing Serpent, which performs a few spinning attacks while rising up into the air. Its DPS is almost on par with Rage Dance, and it's rather useful to gain height mid-combo. On top of that, you can even use this PA to reposition while in the air. Next up is Sideswiper Slash, and this PA doesn't really do anything unless its first hit lands, but if it does, you will slowly rise up into the air while continuing to slash side to side, during which time you will be completely invulnerable until the PA ends. Rayblade Shot has you swing upwards and then shoot once, though this PA can be customized into Rayblade Shot 0, and when doing so, it will instead be split up into 2 parts that will have perfect attack windows after each. The first part will leave a lingering slash in the air, and the second part has you fire off one strong shot. If you cancel the second half of the PA before you fire, by using a normal attack, a PA, dodging, or jumping, the lingering slash will stay there dealing damage over time and hits up to 5 times. There can also be up to 3 instances of this attack too, so long as you cancel the second half of the PA each time. Besides all that, there is super armor during the entire PA, and there are guard frames during the initial swing upwards, making for a great filler or blocking PA. With tri-impct, you will slash 3 times in a small area in front of you. However, when customizing it into its 0 version, it will also send out waves of energy with each swing that will pass through everything in a line in front of it, making it effective for medium range mobbing. There's also super armor from the moment the second hit lands, and this lasts until the end of the PA. Next up is Blitzfire Barrage, which executes a bunch of spinning slashes with some gunfire sprinkled in. The damage from the PA itself is pretty good, but the animation is long and you cannot cancel out of it. Hailfire Kick first kicks an enemy and then follows up with a few shots. And there's not much else to it besides it having brief guard frames at the start. We then have Aimed Fire, and this simply fires out a single, very accurate, long-range shot, which has 2 stages of charge. The first is about after a half a second of charging or holding the PA, and the next and strongest being after about 3 seconds of charging. In general, this is best used for pre-firing, as in charging it up while waiting for a boss to become vulnerable in between phases. Lastly, there's Bomber Toss, and this just has you throw out a bomb and then flip backwards. All hits scale off range damage, and you will be invulnerable during the flip. Now, as far as combos go, assuming you're using a Luster subclass, at the very least, try to alternate between 2 different PAs to make use of Tech Art's multi-bonus. However, if you want to get the most out of the PP cost reduction from high combo PP save, you should be rotating between 3 or 4 different PAs. Generally, a 2 PA combo would be something like Strezwei or Kickdance Dash to gap close when needed, then mainly alternate between Rayblade Zero and Rage Dance or Writhing Serpent. It doesn't really matter what you use alongside Rage Dance or Serpent, but Rayblade Zero is very quick, has God frames on startup, and does decent damage, so it works as a great filler. Then, for a 3 or 4 PA combo, you would again use Strezwei or Kickdance to gap close whenever needed, then follow up with Rage Dance or Writhing Serpent as your main DPS, then use Rayblade Zero and Sideswiper as fillers, or anything else you like. Now, that being said, I can't stress enough that the actual order of your combos is very situational, as you'll want to make use of the God frames on Strezwei and Rayblade Zero, the iframes on Sideswiper, and the rising effect on Sideswiper and Writhing Serpent. So in the end, just try to alternate up to 4 different PAs, and use whatever you need in the moment to keep you protected, mobile, and up in the air if necessary. And that's about it for this one. At the end of the day, the Gunblade is actually worth using now, and is really fun too. So I suggest everyone give it a try. And now that this video is done, I'll be able to get into some Gunblade heavy class combinations in future videos. But I'll leave you with that for now. And until next time, dodge well.